welcome to the second month of the Vibrant Living Circles. I'm Roseanne Marsh.
And I'm Rachel Anderson. And before we get going in the next month, which is super exciting because we're getting into the book and the roots and everything, we wanted to kind of go back a little bit and ask how last month went and what did you work on to open space up for what's coming. And so as a group, what are some things that you did? I know for myself, it was a lot of mental clean out. I thought I would be doing a lot of physical clean out, but I had to start some and more my mental clean out and getting prepared for what's coming. And then also as a group, what did you set an intention that you want? And personally, what is your intention? And as we get going this month, just take a minute and kind of think about that and bring it up as a group and talk about it so that each month you're remembering that intention that was set within yourselves and also as a group.
And maybe as a group you've decided how you want to communicate with each other. Maybe it's with Facebook, maybe it's with Instagram, maybe it's with Marco Polo, but reach out and touch in with each other and share the journey that you're on, because there's some incredible learnings that will be happening, and we learn from each other. That's why we're doing these in-person and live Vibrant Living Circles. So today we're going to start into, so exciting, the tree of the book, and as you can see we have the roots, the body, heart, mind, and soul. And today we're going to start talking about the body, and there's no coincidence why the body is number one. And we have a passion about talking about the body, so we'll give you some of our feedback on that. And we know that you have some things that you want to land, and all of you that are watching this and all of you that are in the group, bring your expertise forward. And so it should be a good discussion month.
So what, one thing as we were starting to talk about this video, one of the last things that we brought up is something that I've learned the last little bit is the importance of our body to ourselves, and that the adversary doesn't have a body, and what a gift this body is for us, and how he doesn't want us to, especially as women, to hold these bodies sacred and beautiful and to love everything, even the good, bad, everything. And I've lived in discourse with my body most of my life, and just recently have been able to accept and love myself where I'm at, not when I get to a certain point, but where I'm at. And the beauty of that is then therefore it opens up energy that I was spending on loathing the body to being now using it for what God gave it to me as a vehicle to do his work here. Even this, a few years ago, to sit in front of a thing and look at myself on a film and think, I just like, no way would I want to. But I just am so grateful that he's now made me realize what an amazing body I have, and that I can do these things and not be in fear.
And I think as women, we have a habit of putting everyone first. And I think that's what this entire program is about, is making sure that we nourish ourselves and that ripple effect will happen. And I know I'm excited about this revival again, or revisiting all of these different steps. And the body to me is near and dear, as I have let go of sugar. I've done it before in the past, and I've done it again now. And what a difference in mental clarity, etc. And we're going to talk about some of those things now within this. Let's start out with your handout that you have. As you can see, there's an acronym of PLEASE. And we'll just give you what it stands for. And I know those of you who have the book and have read the book understand this. And we're going to try to pull out some things that aren't necessarily in the book. So make sure that you've read the chapter, and then these are kind of some supplemental things that you can use for your meeting if you should choose to. The P stands for proper supplementation and nutrition. And the L is for low glycemic foods, whole and raw foods. I'm probably going too fast for you, but I know you're fast riders. The E is for exercise. The A is adequate hydration. The S is sleep. And the E is energy. And we're finding that this entire thing is really about intuitive living, and Rachel will explain a little bit more about that.
So, as like I said, these bodies are a gift from God. It's that spirit and body connection that as we learn to listen. And it's not listening necessarily like a voice, it's listening or how do I feel? How does this body feel? Am I in a high vibration, a low vibration? Am I in high energy or low energy? And then what I'm doing to my body, is this creating high energy or is it creating low energy, low vibration? And that's all it is. It's like a science experiment within your body. And I know my greatest tool is journaling through this journey, because I didn't believe that I was as intuitive as I am, and I wasn't trusting that process. And so as I journaled, then I could look back and go, oh, I see now how this brought this about. And then I could touch into those feelings a little bit more, and the intuitiveness grew from there. So
Well, I think that's beautiful, talking about feelings and the beauty of journaling and having that record of progress and the learning that comes from that. The first one's proper supplementation. And we know that because of the GMOs, all the different ways that food has been destroyed in our culture, that the vitamins and the nutrients that we used to have in the soil have been literally wreaked havoc with. And so there are times when we need to supplement our bodies. And we almost feel like this could be the very end conversation. But we'll start out with the acronym. And there are times when you may have to take supplements, vitamins, and minerals, etc., that your body is depleted in. But one of the things we want to emphasize here is the fact that this is about being intuitive about your body, about how do you feel when you take those? Do you have more energy? Does it do for what you hope it'll be doing? I've also been told by a practitioner that I've gone to for about 20 years to give your body a rest 1 day a week from those vitamins, because you don't want your body to become you don't want it to be a crutch. You want your body to be able to produce some of those things. And you may find that something that you've been taking for a long time, you may be able to decrease, and maybe your needs are different. What are some other things you want to add on to that?
I think too, the supplementation, we need to realize that it's also nutrition, that the food is first and supplementation is secondary. And so that's proper nutrition and supplementation. That word's getting me. But then also a time and a season, like Roseanne said, that sometimes we need things and sometimes we don't, and to really listen. And one of the biggest things I'm learning is if you can make sure your nutrition is in check and you're getting as much there, and then listen to your body, follow up with that, and then also gut health and making sure that your microbiome is in working condition to acclimate and to assimilate all of the foods and the supplements. Because if that's not working and it's not getting into your system, then it's just going right through you.
And that really leads us into the second one, the low glycemic and whole and raw foods. And we are talking about the microbiomes and the gut health. The gut is actually the second brain of the body. And there's many neurons in there, and we'll talk more about the neurons when we get into the mind portion of it. But a lot of disease happens from the gut and from the condition of it.
I would dare say all disease.
Honestly,
okay. I'm gonna throw that out, because I think we're discounting how much, it really is part of the equation in our health. We don't realize that.
Well, and the American diet is really what's destroying the American culture, because it has become less expensive, more convenient to eat processed foods, to eat foods that are high in fat, high in sugar, corn syrups, etc. And there's a lot of money being made by the food industry. At the very on the flip side of your handout, we have some documentaries and some videos that we think you will find very, very interesting. One of my favorites is the Fed Up, where it talks about the food industry, the food that's being supplied in the school system, and there's also one on sugar, which I think you'll find very fascinating if you haven't had a chance to kind of delve into almost the political structuring of the food industry. But was it Albert Einstein that said that food is the future medicine of the world? And that's where we kind of want to emphasize right now, is the food that we eat.
And going back to the gut health, the dead food, the food that's not real, that has been processed and made, is what feeds the negative or the bad bacteria in your gut, and actually just creates more havoc. And then therefore you create that bacteria craves more of it, craves more of it, craves more of it. So some of that addiction that we, is in the brain, but some of it is also going on in our gut too.
I have a good friend that at one of our retreats had said, in fact, she is Martha Bray from Advanced Health Clinic here in Utah. She said, live food brings life, dead food brings death. And many processed foods already come prepared in their coffin. And I've always remembered that we want to go as close to nature as we can when we are eating foods. In fact, I have a cute friend who, when she prepares her food for her kids, she prepares a rainbow on the plate. Not only is it pleasing, but she knows that she's getting all that different nutrition that her children need.
And I think my biggest thing is, and especially if those with have family, keep it simple. Like, I think sometimes we think that we have to be elaborate. God gave us simplicity in food, and it's so important to just keep it simple. Grilling, vegetables in an oven, is so easy. Tossing it with a little bit of olive oil and sea salt and putting it in and pulling out, and just little things like that you don't think, a simple salad with that, and just making it, but this more simple for budget and time that we're busy, the better. It doesn't have to be these elaborate recipes with even elaborate ingredients. Like, just go to simplicity.
And I agree, like roasting, you had talked about, what was it, the jicama?
Yeah.
Tell them about that.
So I just found out about this. I just thought raw jicama, I love raw jicama, but it's fall, and so you're wanting warm foods. And I had a friend who said, well, roast it, and just toss it like you would a potato in oil and roast it with sea salt, and so yummy. But it's things like that you just get creative, but yet simple, and it will make it a lot easier. But some questions you could at this point ask each other, like, it's just coming together as women. How do you cook for your family? How do you get your kids to eat vegetables? Like, these are some questions that you can start asking. Maybe share some recipes and some ideas like the jicama roasting, and help one another in this, because that was just a friend throwing out something that I never even thought of. I didn't know you could cook jicama, so share some ideas here.
And you may have someone or one of you out there may be really good at fermenting foods. And that is probably a critical piece that it used to be my grandmother and my mother's generation. They always fermented foods. And it's such an easy thing to do on your counter. That might even be fun
Yeah.
little class that you guys could do together to make sauerkraut. But even just a tablespoon a day is a prebiotic to the biomes in your gut. And it helps them flourish. You can literally turn around the microbiomes in your stomach within a 10-day period by adding just a tablespoon of fermented foods every day. Also the root foods, the rutabagas, the jicamas, the carrots, the yams, those things, each of them have a different kind of nutrient that they bring to our body, and we kind of got away from that. It seems like the American diet was corn and carrots and potatoes, and we thought that we were eating vegetables. And there's such a beautiful array of different things. Even roasting, what are the little tiny, they look like, I call them baby cabbages, but they're
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts.
I love Brussels sprouts.
That with a little bit of olive oil and stuff. There are some really fun foods that we can incorporate. I just wanted to pull out that I had a chance to be a part of a program. It's actually a health program with over 900 people from around the world. And one of the things that we were taught is that there are 6 different kinds of hungers. And throughout this program, I'll be able to throw out some of that. But 2 of them I wanted to bring up today. One is a thirst hunger. Our body thinks it's hungry, but maybe it's just thirsty. And we'll get into that with the water. But another one is it's a nutritional hunger. And we as Americans are deplete of nutrition because of what we eat and what is being provided and what we buy if it's in the processed food and doesn't come from the whole foods and the raw foods. But if we can start the day like green smoothies, those are really fun to make, by putting a green smoothie in our stomachs, our stomach all of a sudden gets the message that, okay, this is the nutrition that I'm craving. I always wondered why is it I can eat pasta and feel like I can eat another bowl of it?
Or Chinese food.
Or Chinese food, yes.
Take out Chinese food. I'm hungry in an hour.
Yeah. What is that? Well, it's the body saying, I still am not getting the nutrition that I need. And so we overeat instead of eating the right foods. So I know you'll have some amazing conversations surrounding food, and hopefully you'll be able to share some things that you're doing together.
And I one thing that just came to me is making an event. I think sometimes we forget that when we're nourishing the body with food, we also nourish the spirit. There's a reason that we love to celebrate with food, because that's nourishing of the spirit. But instead of celebrating the food, like being so excited about the food, like that gathering at the table every night with your family, the conversation that you have together can be as nourishing of the food as the food. And also, and the importance of that, like studies show that families that gather and eat together as a family, kids have less anxiety and depression and all of these things. And they're going to eat a more balanced meal. They're going to have healthier foods because of that. And I just love the idea, I don't know, in the gathering, but I say something with my health coach clients. Don't eat it unless you plate it, sit it, and then eat it. That you don't eat on the go, because it's mindless. You're not nourishing your body, really. You're just putting something in your body because you're maybe buffering for something else. But when you sit down and you nourish your body and you take time to pray over your food and to sit with somebody, that is nourishing your soul, and that's going to satiate you to the next meal, not just nutritionally, but psychologically too.
Well, and I love the fact that you said make it a celebration, and
not in the food, but in the event, and the people,
being around.
Focus on the people,
and one of gratitude. When we put gratitude, there's so many things that can be fallen nature in our food that I think it is critical that we bless our food.
Yeah.
That we bring that to a higher level of vibration, and we'll talk about vibration later on in one of these months.
Yeah, and I had a friend who said, do you always do organic? And I do when I can afford it, but then I bless it and ask God to make it enough. You know, like you just do your best.
Exactly. So as we're talking about this, you know, think about what's doable for you this month, and hopefully you have a Facebook group or some way that you're keeping in touch. Throw out those ideas. Okay, this is what I've done. This is what I'm trying. We're in this together. We do have a Facebook group for the entire Vibrant Living Circles. It would be great at the end of your meeting if you came up with some ahas that you would be able to share on that. So you'll be able to glean from all these other circles that are adding their experience and their suggestions. Let's go on to the E in the acronym. The E is exercise. And I guess the first thing I would say is when we need to exercise, we know we need to exercise. In fact, I had a friend say, you only need to exercise on the days you eat.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree that it has to be 7 days a week, but absolutely our bodies, our lives are in motion when we create motion in our lives. And I would say, what excites you? What gets you excited? What kind of exercise do you like? Like, what kind of exercise do you like?
I like walks with my husband in the evening, and things that settle me. I mean, I love to run and I love to do all those, but things that settle me, yoga, you know, things like that. But I think there's always a time and a season for that. And I think listening, the intuitive life, like listening to your body. And there's mornings that I wake up, like this morning, for example. Last night I felt like I wanted to go on a run, but this morning when I woke up, I knew my body wasn't prepared for that, you know. And so listening and being prepared to make changes. And I think the organicness of exercise needs to change from going to a gym and pounding it out to a connection, whether it be exercising with somebody else, that's why walks with my husband I love, or a connection to the outdoors and being outside and the earth and all of that and God, or, you know, just within yourselves. But there's a time for the gym and there's a time for, you know, like getting outside and being outside, and you need to listen to
And
that.
I remember as a young mom at one time, I invited friends over, and even our small babies we used as weights and had fun. As our kids were doing a little play date, we were exercising as we were talking, so we took advantage of the time. But, you know, like for me, dancing. I love to dance. It embarrasses my kids, but I put some
And then
music
you're feeding
on.
your
Yeah,
spirit. And
exactly.
It's good.
So it's movement of any kind, and we do know that as women that um, we do need weights. We do need some way to strengthen our bodies. So if there's even push-ups on the kitchen counter in the morning,
Yeah.
and before the kids get up.
I like the idea of functional movement. Like, what is going to help me when I get older to continue to be able to bend down and pick stuff up? What am I going to be able, what strength do I need in my legs and my arms to lift and to do these twists and movements? So your body, that's what we're made to do. We're, like Roseanne said, made to be in motion. So what are the emotions that are natural that I need to strengthen and do?
And I love incorporating stretching, because the older we get, we lose that flexibility. There's a time when I could put my foot over my head when I was in my dancing years. I can't quite do that, but maybe that's a good challenge for me to get back there. But what do we need to do to be able to stay mobile and agile and healthy and strong? Because we have families and friends and things that we need to do. Our mobility is very important.
So maybe now is a time for you guys to talk about what exercises do you love to do? What excites you? And what do you love to do? And maybe this month, start a group together, maybe a walking group, a running group. One of my dearest memories is I was in a really struggling in a really dark time in my life, and God put 5 women at a table, and in that conversation we all decided to start running, and to this day they're my dearest friends. You know, and so maybe that's what it is. Maybe you need a group and you need the connection as much as you need the movement. So maybe talk about that and find ways that you can get moving this month.
Excellent. Okay, let's go on to the A, the adequate hydration. And this is an easy one, but it's probably one of the most important ones, because obviously we can go 2 weeks without food, but we can only go 3 days without water. And the reason being is we are bodies of water. We're 60% water in our body, and our brain is as much as 80%. If we don't hydrate our bodies, we do a big disservice to our body and to the way that it works, and especially how our brain can calculate. There is a YouTube video that we threw out there, and it's called Your Immune System Under a Microscope. And the reason we threw that out for you is it literally was life-changing for me when I saw it. And it is the immune system. It shows it going through trying to find the cleanup it needs to do, the cancer cells, etc. And the biggest aha in there is that its mobility comes from the hydration of the body. So if there's no water in the body, those immune cells can't get through and do what they need to do. So if you get a chance as a group or individually, watch that, because it's very interesting. One of the reasons that we need to hydrate.
Well, and the process of elimination, I mean, it's breaking down those particles and stuff. We're in an environment of a lot of toxicity, not just in our food, but just everything, in our cleaners that we use in our home, just the environment in general. And this is its way of eradicating, and we need water to be able to do that, to flush these toxins out. And so it's super important. And so those are 2 things to just remind yourself what you're doing hydration wise.
I talked about there are 6 different hungers that I had learned about. One of the other hungers I had learned about was the thirst hunger. Sometimes we feel that our body is hungry, but it's actually a thirst mechanism. And so when we get hungry, one of the first things that we can do is hydrate our body. And that a lot of times will satiate what our need is at that time. I also learned that, and I was guilty of this, I drink a lot during my meals. And that's not actually the opportune time to drink. The time would be way before your meal, and then way after, because you don't want to dilute the digestive juices that are breaking down and then giving your body the nutrients that it needs. So,
and the other thing is you're dehydrated in the morning. So I even will sometimes put a glass of water on my nightstand so that the first thing that I do when I wake up is I drink. And that gets everything going. Like, it's amazing how fast everything, I'm just like, my body's awake now and it's ready, and I've given it the first most important thing so that I can have the energy and what I need to move forward. So.
I love that. And of course you've always heard the standard, you drink half your body weight in ounces. But again, this is an intuitive thing. Sometimes your body needs more than that. So water, it does your
Yes.
body good, or
Drink it
something
up.
like that, right?
And I'm not a lover of water. I drink a lot, but I put lemon in mine, and it just helps me, to want it more. And then it even helps more in the elimination process. So
as
find
a
ways
group,
to love it.
as a group, what do you do? How do you get your water in? What are some things you do to remind yourselves? Are there special containers that you like to use? And how do you get that hydration in your children? That's one of the challenges that I have right now.
Yeah.
So
Let's share and figure this out. The next one is sleep. Sleep is a lost art, I think, in our society. I think our kids are I watch my teenagers, and even though we, have their phones come upstairs, they go from phones to sleep, we just aren't preparing ourselves mentally for what our body needs to do, which sleep is our place of detoxification. It's our time to relax and to reset for the next day, physically, emotionally, and spiritually even. And so it's really important that you have a routine, a nightly routine, that you don't do screen time of any kind an hour before, that you find a way to bring your cortisol down, to bring stress down, whether it be meditation or writing exercise with journaling or, reading. So you want to make sure what you're reading is something that isn't stimulating. So you want whatever that hour activity that you're doing, whether it be like, I love to wash my face in like a really relaxing way and read just a quote to think on for a little bit that centers me, and maybe do a little writing exercise. Just something that takes me out of my day and prepares my body and my mind for rest.
And sleep is really where we do the healing for our body. So unless we get into that REM sleep, we're not getting the healing that our body needs. And then we wake up and we're tired. I love having the routine, and then also that decompression time before we go to bed. I know I'll write things on a piece of paper that I need to do for the next day and kind of leave that there because I've kind of dumped it out of my mind. But I'll also maybe write something that I need the answer to, that I want my brain to maybe work on. I don't want it to work on all these other to-do tasks, but maybe I have a question or something I'm trying to resolve and ponder, and I'll put that there and kind of ask for the powers to be to also help me think of some solutions during the evening. So
and getting inadequate sleep. Some of the things you're going to see is one of the things that I saw in my life is when I was in my struggles is hormone balancing. It is huge. Like if I got inadequate sleep, then I was more apt to eat worse. The cravings were there, and my hormones ghrelin and all of that. I didn't feel satiated. I'd wake up in the morning and just crave things because I thought that would give me energy when really I needed sleep. And then there's also a time and a season. Sometimes listen to your body, and maybe you didn't get a good night's sleep, so be okay with having a nap. Set your clock for 30 minute little nap in the afternoon. I know. Sometimes in the afternoon before the kids come home, I'm like, I know that I need to take a little just downtime and reset myself. But then sometimes if I do a shorter one, then it sets me up for a better sleep that night, that I'm not overly tired. So that, I think that you just don't realize that affects your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, your digestive system, everything. There's no time if you're not sleeping for your body to digest the foods and to reset for the next day, especially if you eat late at night. Shut your digestive system down 7 or 8 o'clock so your body can be ready to sleep and detox.
And I know we're talking about us as women. What can we do for ourselves and making sure we have our own sleep? But also, what are you doing as a group to help your family sleep and get the proper amount of rest and healing that they need? Okay, and that leads us to the very last E of the acronym, E for energy. And all of this is kind of comprehensive. Those things we've talked about is all of these things are kind of a piece of that puzzle of how we have energy and how we sustain our life.
And I love something that I do with my clients a lot is make a list of things that bring me high energy, low energy, starting with food. What are some high energy foods, low energy foods? And focus eating, instead of focusing on what you can't have, focus on what you get to have. And all of those foods, with the journaling, you're figuring out, you know, like Rosanna and I were talking this morning, like bananas don't agree with her. And sometimes I don't do well with, what was my thing? I can't remember. But just get to where you're like, I don't do well with that. Oh, fruit. I only do well with fruit at night. Sometimes it's timing, you know, like, or in the morning. If I have fruit at night, then I have digestive issues. And so figure out for yourself what is your high energy, and then high energy activities, high energy, you know, like when is the best time for you to drink your water? I don't do good with water after 5 o'clock. I try to get my water in before 5 because then I'm up all night and then it disrupts my sleep. So what are the things that bring you the highest energy? And that goes back to the intuitive living and really just taking a whole organic look at your life. And really it starts with, this is the most important self-care that you can do. We talk about like the pedicures and all these things, and that's great and it feels good. But this right here, listening to your body and understanding your body and taking time with your body, is the best self-care that you can do that will set you up for an optimal life and just feeling good.
And I love that these acronyms, you can go back on that. If you're low in energy, you can go back and say, you know, does it have to do with the foods that I'm eating? Does it have to do with sleep, water, exercise? You know, there's kind of a good little pattern here of things that you can double check. But I love, I call it kind of a add-in lifestyle is what I kind of coined it this morning. Is I don't think it's about an elimination diet or any of those things. I think it's, let's try to add in something, you know, what can we add in? And then by us adding in, it kind of eliminates those other things that don't serve us, seem to fall away. But I love this acronym, the PLEASE acronym, and hopefully you've had a great discussion tonight about what works for you.
And as you move forward, think of abundance. Like, look at the abundance that God's given us, the abundance of fruits and vegetables, and even the supplementation that's out there nowadays, and all of these things that are just there at our fingertips, and how amazing it is that He's given us this chance to heal our bodies so that we can have this amazing vehicle to do His work.
And now we have an invitation for you, and that is at the very bottom of the template. We would say, what is something that you're going to add in this month? An area that you really want to focus on. And yes, you can put an area in there that you want to stop if there's something that you feel is detrimental. But really focus on, what am I going to add? And write this down before you leave the meeting tonight so that you have kind of a direction that you're going to go, a goal or a target as you walk out the door. So this is the first of the roots. This was the body. And then next month, a delicious fruit. I'm so excited about that one. And we'll be talking about the heart, nourishing the heart. So this is Roseanne Marsh and
Rachel Anderson. So excited for all of you.
Take care.
Bye.